From Lagos, Nigeria, this is Tonight on News Central. My name is Mazino Pil, and these are our top stories today. President Tinubu replaces Mele Kyari with Bayo Ojulari as NNPC Group CEO just as he embarks on working visit to France. And Edo State Election Tribunal dismisses PDP's Asoi Hodalo's petition, declares Monday Okwewolo as governor. Also coming up, President Donald Trump announces sweeping new tariffs to promote U.S. manufacturing, risking inflation and trade wars.
In business, Nigeria and United Nations Industrial Development Organization reached $174.59 million partnership deal.
And in sports, inaugural Niger Delta Sport Festival officially begins on Wednesday in Akwa Ibom State.
Welcome to Tonight. Welcome once again. Now, in a sweeping restructure, President Bola Tinubu has removed the entire board of Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, including Group Chief Executive Officer Mele Kyari and Chairman Pius Akinyelure. Now, President Tinubu has now appointed a new 11-man board, effectively immediately. The new board members include Group CEO Engineer Bashir Bayo Ojulari, non-executive chairman as Ahmadu Musa Kida, and Chief Financial Officer as Adidakpo Shegun. The non-executive directors are Bello Rabiu, Yusuf Usman, Babs Omotawa, Austin Avuru, David Ige, Henry Obi. Southeast and ministerial representatives are Lydia Shehu Jafia of the Federal Ministry of Finance and Aminu Said Ahmed of the Ministry of Petroleum Resources. President Tinubu noted that the restructuring is essential for enhancing operational efficiency and driving economic growth. Now, President Bola Tinubu has now departed Abuja on a working visit to Paris. According to a statement by presidential spokesman Bayo Onanuga, the president aims to assess his administration's mid-term performance and key milestones during his time in France. The working visit will also serve as an opportunity for President Tinubu to review the progress of ongoing reforms, engage in strategic planning, and deepen ongoing reforms ahead of his administration's second anniversary. Now, notably, the president's commitment to economic reforms has yielded significant results, with the Central Bank of Nigeria reporting a substantial increase in net foreign exchange reserves to $23.11 billion. While the president is scheduled to return to Nigeria in a fortnight, he has now traveled to France a record 6 times since being declared president. Now, Ortega Oga is Senior Special Assistant to President Bola Tinubu on New Media. He joins me now to speak on the president's trip to France and his reshuffle of the NNPCL. Ortega, thank you very much for joining us. Let's welcome you in.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
Grand. Good to have you here tonight. Now, brief overview of President Tinubu's working visit to France. What trade and investment opportunities will be explored here?
So I think first things first is to recognize why the president is going on this trip. Like Bayo Onanuga said in a statement that I put out today, the president is going on a working visit to reevaluate and review midterm progress and, refresh and see how we can improve upon what we've done before. We'll look at key milestones. We're going to look at, what the ministers, what his government has done, and, plan strategically for the second half of this term. And I think it underscores Mr. President's drive, to always put Nigeria first.
So, Ortega, it's not the first time he's traveled to France, a record 6 times now. What outcomes can we expect from Tinubu's working visits to France this time?
As you're very much aware, the president's last visit to France, which you referred to in your opening, was for a state visit upon the invitation of the French president, President Macron. This time around, Mr. President is going on a working retreat personal retreats. It would have some meetings, which the state also would brief the press upon when those meetings are going on. But beyond that, it's more important that we recognize there's having this trip so that you can think and look at how well we're fed and plan for the future.
Now, Otega, I'm really curious as to who exactly the president would be seeing, which officials he'd be meeting in France, and what areas of focus he'd be discussing during his meetings with the French officials. If you can give us those details, please. Again,
I'll refer you to the press release and your opening, where we said the president is going for a retreat, a personal retreat, a working visits, where he'll be doing more of reflecting on his work and, planning for the second half of his term.
Is there a special focus?
Any of the information that is missing would be informed to the press as a twin deal.
Okay. I was going to ask if there was any specific focus on France, because people are very curious why this is always a destination for the president. And if this has to do with the economy, then, well, they need to know exactly why and which officials he would be seeing there.
I guess I would have to ask the president that. But again, this is a working visit, a personal working visit, where he'll be reviewing his administration's work so far in the first half of his tenure. And then we'll see how everything goes on from there.
Okay, then I'm going to move to details regarding the reshuffling of the NNPCL board. Is there a rationale behind this reshuffle?
Sorry, come again, please.
I'm asking for the rationale behind the reshuffle of the NNPCL.
Yeah, so this morning that was announced. We have to recognize that leadership transitions are part of institutional growth. It's something that is common, but it's very important that Nigerians and the world, we do not lose sight of what the outgoing management and board, has achieved. Beyond breaking the 20-year-old deadlock in passing the PIA, they've we've seen the commercialization of NNPC. They are now a commercial entity with a global footprint. We also need to recognize that they've done a couple of other things. For instance, over the past 43 years before they started making profits, and NNPC had not made profit, the outgoing management and board were able to do 3 trillion in 2023, and I think 2024 unaudited, they should be looking at about 5 trillion. Those are very, very important that we do not lose sight of. In addition to that, we could see how they managed the transition from the fuel subsidy regime to a non-subsidy regime, which has gone on very, very well. Also, oil thefts. Now we're seeing about 700,000 barrels per day, which has been saved, from oil theft and all of that. And what that has done for us as a country is that it has ensured that Nigeria, for the first time in many, many years, can meet its OPEC quota and even exceed it. We're currently at about 1.8 million barrels per day. This is something that we should give credit to the other boards too. But in doing this transition, or this reshufflement, as you called it, the president has invoked, his powers under the PIA, and it's to ensure that there's strategic realignments, to ensure that new perspectives are brought on board, in helping NNPC out, amongst other things. And, for us, it's about NNPC being agile, NNPC, being more efficient. We've seen improved efficiency in the last 2 years in NNPC. We've seen the 2 refineries come out, and we've seen even new FIDs signed, over 2 billion in the past 2-3 years, so we believe that this would improve upon what they've done so far.
Well, Otega, let's talk about the selection process here. Many, or a few, might actually argue that Mele Kyari had gained there had been some gains by the NNPCL during his time, his 30 years inside of the NNPCL. I'm saying that many will argue that Mele Kyari, during his time in the NNPC, had done some very good work for the NNPCL with his 30 years. But can you provide us insights into why the selection process for the new board members and what qualifies or what qualities or expertise do they bring on board?
So I'm sure if you look at the composition of the new board and the management team, you'll see that they have a well-rounded, you have people who are experts in energy management, you have people experts in the oil and gas field who have either from the international oil companies or our local oil companies here. You have those that's well-versed and skilled in corporate governance, financial management, and all that. It was a thorough process that the president, went through in picking these new members of the board. And we believe that these people will build upon the strong foundations that have been laid by the Mele Kyari team going into the future.
Okay. So talk about the allegations of regional marginalization and the appointment by President Tinubu being mainly his kinsmen. Do you have anything to say about that?
If you're saying Nigerians are the president's kinsmen, then yes, the president is proud to have, appointed Nigerians across the length and breadth of this country, fully representative to the board. You have the chairman, who is from Kwara State. The chairman is from the north. You have the MD, the current GMD or GCO, who is also from the North Central. And you have others representing the South-South, the Southeast, the Southwest, and the Northwest, North Central, and Northeast on the board. You also have representatives of the ministry, the relevant ministries on the board. So I think it's a proper Nigerian board based on competence, capacity, and the ability to deliver on the job. So kudos to Mr. President for that.
All right, then. So let's talk about the impact of this reshuffle. How exactly would it reposition Nigeria's energy sector, and what reforms or initiatives can be expected under the new leadership now?
So for us, I think the most important thing is that they're expected to build upon the strengths of the previous, the wins of the previous board and management, and they also meant to accelerate ongoing initiatives like, we're doing the decade of gas. The midstream sector is very, very important for Mr. President. We're also expecting them, to push through with work that is going on with deep water push. Last year, the president signed 3 executive orders, to improve the energy space and guarantee energy security for Nigeria over the next few years. So we expect that they will build on that. They will build upon the infrastructure. They will also build upon the refineries that have come on stream and see how we can even meet Nigeria's goal of 2 million barrels per day in the next 2 years. So those are very, very important for them. Those were clearly stated in the press release. And we wish the new board and management the best of luck as they go about their duties.
Finally, Ortega, you had listed the achievements of the NNPCL under Mele Kyari's, under his view, but then came the sack. So in your expert opinion, what signal does this send to both local and foreign investors?
So I'm not an expert in the oil and gas sector, but I think I'm capable of speaking, on this. Over the past 2 years since President Bola Tinubu came on board, we've seen a situation where, in collaboration, working closely with the NNPC under Mele Kyari, we've seen renewed investments come in. All the issues we had with IOCs were sorted out under Mele Kyari, and that led to renewed investments coming into Nigeria. So that's very, very important for us. We're seeing, all the IOCs that left are looking to come back either in the deep water space or even in the other spaces. But for us, I think this new board is going to have, it's good because Nigeria is now beginning to look, it's the most competitive, as Chatham House recently said. Our economy is the most competitive it has been in years. That is something that is good for them. We expect that with the capacity and skill sets they're bringing on board, they will be able to, carry on with this work. They'll be able to, attract new investments to support their profitability, to support their drives. They will be able to do a lot more in terms of infrastructure. They'll be able to, fix whatever issues or whatever gaps that we have in the upstream, midstream, and downstream sectors. And you have people across with experience across these 3 areas on the new board. So I am pretty confident. The world should watch. The world is watching, and they should take a bet on Nigeria. The best time to take a bet on Nigeria is now, and I don't see any reason why anyone in the international oil and gas space would not want to come to Nigeria at this point in time. A great foundation has been laid. Now is the time for us to take that foundation and build upon it, to achieve energy security for Nigeria.
Ortega Ogra, well, bets are on now. Well, we hope for better things. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. Now, coming up tonight, Lagos commuters were left stranded in most parts of Wednesday. We'll tell you how after the break. And you're welcome back. You're watching Tonight on News Central. A reminder of our top stories. President Tinubu replaces Mele Kyari with Bayo Ojulari as NNPCL Group CEO just as he embarks on working visit to France. And Edo State Election Tribunal dismisses PDP's Aso Ighodalo's petition, declares Monday Okpewolo as governor. And President Donald Trump announces sweeping new tariffs to promote U.S. manufacturing, risking inflation and trade wars. Now, staying on the restructure of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company, NNPCL, Limited, by President Tinubu and his working visit to France, Diran Fawibe is Group Chairman and CEO at International Energy Services Limited. His work experience spans organizations including the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation and also the NNPC. Also, Ejike Okpa is a public affairs analyst. They both join us now to discuss the NNPCL and its new board. I'm being told that we only have Ejike Okpa. Ejike, you're welcome. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Good to have you. So, what do you make of the president's restructure of the NNPCL?
Well, if you go back to when NNPC was formed, which is more than 40 years ago, and what NNPC has become. NNPC has become the piggy bank or petty cash operation for anybody who is Nigerian president. Let's even give Nigerians the benefit of that. When Obasanjo came in there, Obasanjo played with NNPC, and then subsequent presidents have done it. NNPC is not what it's supposed to have been. It's the highest single revenue generating entity in Nigeria because of oil. But what has that done for Nigerians? Nothing. So every president messes with it. There's not a strong constitutional requirement that says once somebody's appointed as managing director, they have to stay past or less the presidential term. So it's a position that you serve basically at the will and the wish of whomever is the head of state. And that does not go well for Nigeria. So what you see is Tinubu doing what everybody before him did. He may just be doing it recklessly because Tinubu is a president at will. I mean, mark that expression, president at will. He hops overseas, he does whatever he wants because the National Assembly is weak. Akpabio is doing whatever Akpabio is doing. The House speakers are, the Speaker of the House is nobody to be considered or taken seriously. So nobody checks on what Tinubu can do. And that's what you see happening in Nigeria. That's why the economy is collapsing and there's so much chaos and confusion because now Nigeria is where it is and Tinubu is where? In France. What is he doing in France? I guess because Buhari has exhausted whatever that is in London, so Tinubu chose to go to a French-speaking African country that never really colonized Nigeria. The only thing that France has in Nigeria is Total. So who knows whether Total is remotely managing who sits at the head of NNPC. We don't know that, but it tells an awful story that the president of Nigeria, when there's crisis, finds time to go what they call walk-in visit. What is that? Is there anywhere in the Nigerian constitution that said the president has to do a walk-in visit? But again, in Nigeria is what Nigeria is. Nigeria is where it is because of Nigerians.
All right,
it's
then,
not ghosts.
Ejike, let's talk about Mele Kyari's tenure at the NNPC as the CEO. NNPC has been for 40 years and he's been at the NNPC for 30 years. How would you assess the tenure of the group CEO Mele Kyari during his tenure?
But again, whatever the tenure, he has never been a managing director for that duration. He was maybe a staff that rose. And that's also what is wrong with NNPC. You know, when you have an organization like that, you shouldn't promote from within. You should look for outside people who are disinterested or detached from this, you know, administrative structure before, you know, that exists in every organization. And you bring in somebody from outside who brings in a fresh look, a fresh views on things, as opposed to getting somebody from within. I mean, you know, what is her name that is on the run, designing, what is her name? Design Allison, you know, she messed with the NNPC. She did whatever she did under Jonathan, and she got away. So Nigerians have to really, you know, be critical of what their own fellow Nigerians are doing that are undermining their collective benefit. It shouldn't happen. You can't say you are the smartest people in the world or in Africa, and then you don't run your country smart. It is a shame. Because again, I went to school in Nigeria. I went to school in Port Harcourt. That's when NNPC was beginning to establish its presence. How many years? 40 years down the road, where's NNPC? It doesn't even compare reasonably with some similar institutions, you know, that do what NNPC does in other countries. So again, it makes Nigerians look very bad. The president should not be playing with things that affect Nigerians on a national level. He shouldn't. You know, there's certain things you say, Mr. President, you can do it. And if that means...
Now,
yes.
Mele Kyari was overseeing some key transition reforms, one of which was includes the Petroleum Industry Act, the transition under the Petroleum Industry Act. Is this decision really about performance, or might there be other undertones to this? Because these seem like key reforms.
Well, it's going to be a combination. It could be political. Against, you know, is when you rise in a certain position, is a political appointment. But nobody has seen his, you know, staff review. Nobody is privy to whatever internal reviews he's gotten as an NNPC staff. But I'm just saying that when he gets to that managed MD level, it should no longer be anybody from internal. He could bring in somebody, you know, from outside, but it has to be a Nigerian that has, you know, the mind of independence, that can call shots as they say it. I'm not somebody who's going to behove to the president, but the presidents control those things because it's a piggyback and petty cash operations for them. A lot of them make money out of it, but Nigerians haven't been able to figure out how to stop that. And so you get what you get because Nigerians are asleep while one individual runs circles around 200 million people. That shouldn't happen. And at what point do Nigerians wake up and say enough is enough? You know what I mean? You look at Buhari, you look at Obasanjo, you look at Jonathan, you look at Babangida, all of them. Where are they today? They still come up to offer advice and Nigeria is falling apart. No, come on, it shouldn't happen. Nigeria is supposed to be a symbol and a signal of a successful nation, at least if nowhere else in West Africa, but it's not. Because, you know, they play politics is the personality politics as opposed to policies and programs that will benefit Nigeria. These guys, what do they get? 8 years. After 8 years, they're done. And we have examples of people who did 8 years. Obasanjo did 8 years. Buhari did 8 years. And then Tinubu, who knows, you may survive and get 8 years. At the end, what do Nigerians get? That's the question. What do Nigerians get?
A very valid question. I think it's on the minds of most Nigerians. Well, we wait to see if this new board are competent enough to drag Nigeria out of the economic doldrums. But thank you very much, EGK, for joining us tonight.
Well, thank you for having me, and you guys keep asking the tough questions. This is not about one individual. It's about 200 million Nigerians that on a daily basis wake up, don't know how to feed themselves or even get parent.
Will do. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you, sir.
Now let's take a short break, and when we get back, more on Tonight. Welcome back. Now the Edo State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal has delivered its final ruling, dismissing all petitions and affirming the election of Monday Okwewolo as the governor of Edo State. Our correspondent Joshua Imare brings us the details from Abuja.
After more than 5 months of legal brickbats, the Edo State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal sitting in Abuja has affirmed the victory of Monday Okpebholo of the All Progressive Congress as the duly elected governor of Edo State. The tribunal, in 3 separate judgments, dismissed petitions filed by the Action Alliance, the Accord Party, and the People's Democratic Party. Supporters of the All Progressive Congress at the venue of the tribunal celebrated the judgment, expressing their satisfaction with the ruling.
All the 3 petitions, we won all. We have come to appreciate the people of Edo State. We have come to appreciate the governor. We have come to appreciate the APC family for their resilience. They were with us and they never slacked at any time. We thank God for it.
Thank God Almighty that made this possible. We also want to thank the good people of Edo who voted for us. This is not a news to us because Edo people have spoken before. The court has just reaffirmed what Edo people voted for. So we want to thank God, we want to thank the people of Edo. And I also want to congratulate my principal, the executive governor of Edo State, distinguished Senator Monday Okpebholo.
It's victory for democracy. It's victory for the great people of Edo State. Because it's not a victory for Monday Okpebholo, it's victory for Edo State because Monday Okpebholo is the governor of Edo State. He was elected by Edo people. And we are using this opportunity to call on everybody in the state to come together at this point so that we can move the state forward.
The counsel to the APC, however, reacted to the purported document circulating on social media and other internet platforms claiming to be the judgment.
I came here and I would have been surprised if what they rumored turned out to be true. It's unfortunate that when you read those so-called leaked judgments, they were written by lawyers. So it appears that there are lawyers who are out there to tear down the judiciary. If we destroy our judiciary, then we have nothing. Not just in election matters, but generally. If we question the credibility of the judiciary and tear it down, then the country is actually finished. There are 3 stages of the process. This is only the first stage. But we are quite happy on behalf of our client, the governor, that at least we have emerged victorious at this stage.
Meanwhile, members of the PDP, disappointed at the judgment, left the venue without speaking to journalists. The PDP is yet to announce whether they will pursue an appeal. In Abuja for News Central, I am Joshua Imarai.
News Central's correspondent Joshua Marai has been at the tribunal following the proceedings as it unfolded, and he will be joining us. Also, we have with us here Liberus Oshoma, a lawyer, is here to unpack the tribunal judgment. Good to have you here, Liberus. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you.
All right. So please tell us what the proceedings was like. Or, well, you were there, but what do you think about the outcome of the proceedings?
Yeah, if you have been following election petition matters in Nigeria, you would not expect something entirely different from what happened at the tribunal today. First and foremost, I say this because over time, the court has, Supreme Court especially, has tried to ensure that court, no longer interferes in the outcome of elections on grounds of flimsy excuses and issues like this. So if you look at this case, it was almost on all fours with the PDP case, the APC petition in Osun that the PDP won. And so the PDP is disputing the election in about 730-something polling units, and only called about 16 witnesses or so. And the courts, certainly over time had consistently ruled on substantiality. The first question, an everyday layman would ask, how substantial is 19 witnesses for 730-something polling units where you're alleging irregularity? And then secondly, the issue of reconciling evidence, hearsay and direct evidence when you dispute election result, because there's presumption of regularity in favor of INEC once election results are announced. So once you dispute election result, who is the best witness to call? Is it collation officer or the polling unit agents? And the court also had heard consistently that a direct witness, a direct testimony of a witness who was at the polling unit where the voting took place, is more credible than somebody who was informed at the collation center. Okay. So that's one. And then lastly is the issue of the BVAS machine. Consistently also, the Supreme Court had ruled, also I referred to so many cases, and I can point you to Osun, that where there are discrepancies, or where there are allegations of discrepancies between the number of votes recorded at the polling unit and the number of votes recorded at the collation center, and that the primary source of evidence to refer to is the BVAS machine. And who is to tender them? The man who was present at the polling unit. And those BVAS machines will be examined in open court to show that truly there were discrepancies. But all of that, failure to do all of that is fatal to any petition tribunal. And all of these records, all of these hurdles are set to ensure that elections are not upturned on flimsy excuses.
Now, Liberus, as a lawyer, I want you to please put your lawyer hat on here and help us with this. According to leaked documents, Justice Kochi and Yusuf ruled in favor of Governor Okpewolo, while Justice Adewale dissented allegedly. What's your take on this?
So I didn't get that question.
I said I had asked you that regarding or in reference to leaked documents that we saw, Justice Kochi and Yusuf ruled in favor of Governor Okpewolo, while Justice Adewale dissented allegedly. And I'm asking what you make of this situation.
I will not be commenting on documents that somebody just sat down somewhere and cooked up, and threw in the social media. When I saw those documents, the first question I asked myself was, these are not the way judgment at the tribunals are written. I have been, and without being self-egoistic, I've been handling election petitions since 2003. And in every election cycle since then, I have participated in one election tribunal or the other. And I told myself, this cannot be coming from a court. Even if you want to say maybe a typist leaked the judgment, this is not the way election results are, election petition judgments are written. And then also, maybe, some mischief makers were trying to look at, because like I said, the case is almost on all fours with that of Osun. And then in Osun tribunal, it was 2 against 1. And so they were probably trying to look at it from that perspective also, that maybe it might likely go that way. But unfortunately today, at the Edo State Election Tribunal, it was a unanimous decision from the 3 members, so there was no dissenting. So certainly I would not want to, begin to comment on documents flying on social media that do not even relate to what eventually transpired in court today.
All right, so you're attributing this mischief. Well, Liberus, I do have other questions, but unfortunately we are out of time. I'd have to just thank you, and hopefully maybe next time we get more time to ask you these critical questions I've got for you. Thank you, Liberus.
My pleasure.
You're welcome. Lagos, Nigeria's commercial hub, has been plagued by severe traffic congestion throughout the day, attributed to the closure of the Independence Bridge for repairs. The Lagos State government had announced the temporary shutdown of the bridge from March 19th to May 26, 2025. However, the impact was profoundly felt on Wednesday as motorists scrambled for alternative routes. The diversion of traffic to the Falomo Bridge and the Lekki-Ikoyi Link Bridge resulted in a ripple effect, causing congestion to spill over onto the 3rd mainland bridge. Now, several major streets were severely affected, including Akinyelure and Uzumba-Mbadiwe streets on Victoria Island. Alfred Rwani, Awolowo Road, Alexander Avenue, Gerrard Road, and Bodilon Road in Ikoyi, Admiralty Road Way as well, Freedom Way, and the Lekki-Ekpe Expressway were also affected. Now to the foreign scene. President Donald Trump unveiled plans for sweeping tariffs on Wednesday, expressing frustration over what he called the looting, pillaging, raping, and plundering of the U.S. by other nations. Speaking from the Rose Garden, Trump made it clear that he intends to dismantle the global economic system that the United States helped establish after World War II. In his remarks, Trump decried decades of unfair trade, claiming that American taxpayers have been ripped off for more than 50 years, but vowed that those days are over. His administration's tariff strategy is expected to cost U.S. households more than $3,000 annually, with potential price hikes in goods like cars, clothing, and also electronics. We've got more on tonight, but let's take a short break and we'll be back. Welcome back. It's still tonight, and for business we have Perpetua.
Definitely, we will bring you that after this timeout. Stay with us.
Business news in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
The federal government of Nigeria and the United Nations Industrial Development Organization have signed a $174.6 million program for country partnership agreement aimed at enhancing the country's industrial development over the next 4 years. The initiative, signed by Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Senator Abubakar Atiku Bagudu, focuses on job creation, technological innovation, and sustainable practices, particularly benefiting youth and marginalized groups. With 85.7% of funding sourced from UNIDO partners, the program seeks to position Nigeria as an economic powerhouse in Africa, fostering collaboration among stakeholders to ensure successful implementation. South Africa's parliament has approved a crucial budget framework despite opposition from the Democratic Alliance, increasing tensions within the coalition government. The National Assembly passed the fiscal policy by 194 votes to 182, which includes a proposed increase in value-added tax by Finance Minister Eno Godongwana. The Democratic Alliance plans to challenge the budget legally, citing procedural violations. The uncertainty surrounding the coalition's stability has unnerved investors, contributing to a 1.9% decline in the rand against the dollar. The ruling alliance, formed after last year's elections, faces ongoing disputes over key legislation and budgetary issues. To the stock market now. Expectedly, the all-share index retreated on Wednesday as profit-taking activities weighed on the market following a strong session last Friday. Now let's take a look at a snapshot. Looking at the snapshot, we see down 14 basis points, and of course it's back to the 105,515.99 psychological mark, and the market capitalization is at 66.16 trillion naira. Now let's take a look at the sectoral performance. Now looking at the sectoral performance here, we see that the banking sector happens to be the lone gainer, rising 7 basis points. And you can see it right here. This is the banking sector rising 7 basis points, while the other ones are in the red territory. Now for the banking sector, this was actually caused by Access Corporation, which gained by 134 basis points, and GTCO, which also gained by 116 basis points. Now to the insurance sector, we can see it's down 2.61%. And that, of course, can also be attributed to Sunu Assurances, which, of course, dipped 992 basis points, and Linkage Assurance, which dipped 839 basis points. These are the stocks that led to what we see here in the insurance sector. Oil and gas is down, consumer goods down, industrial goods also down. Well, tomorrow is another trading day, and we hope to see what will happen on Thursday. That's a wrap on Business News Tonight. I am Perpetua Fason Repeater. Tonight continues shortly.
Business news in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
Now on for sports tonight. Onye joins me now for some sports stories, but after this timeout.
Sports Update, brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile.
In sports, the much-anticipated Niger Delta Sport Festival has officially kicked off in Akwa Ibom State, bringing together athletes, officials and sport enthusiasts from across the 9 Niger Delta states for celebration of sports, culture and unity. The opening ceremony held at the Uyo Township Stadium was a spectacle of color, culture and athleticism, with dignitaries including the state governors, sport administrators and government officials gracing the event, emphasizing the festival's role in fostering regional unity, discovering new talents and promoting youth engagement through sport. In his opening remarks, the host governor, Umo Eno, expressed confidence that the festival will not only boost sport development in the region, but also serve as a launchpad for future national and international stars. Nigeria, Ghana, Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago will do battle in an invitational tournament tagged Unity Cup in London in May. The Reggae Boys of Jamaica and Soccer Warriors of Trinidad and Tobago will face off in the first semi-final on Tuesday, May 27, while West African rivals Nigeria and Ghana will clash in the second semi-final on Wednesday, May 28. The third-place match and final will be played on Saturday, May 31. The overall winners will lift the Unity Cup 2025. Three-time African champions Nigeria will use the matches to prepare for the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers against Rwanda and South Africa in September. Still talking football. Beyond limits of Ikene have knocked out Rivers United from the 2025 President Federation Cup. A brace from Akinyelure in both halves ensured that the Ikene boys advanced to the round of 16 of the competition. The game, which was decided at the Samuel Ogbemudia Stadium in Benin City, saw the NNL side overcome the pride of Rivers in a scintillating fashion. Wrapping up sport updates, six-time Nigerian champions Rivers Hoopers, they have arrived in Rabat, Morocco, ahead of their campaign in the 2025 Basketball Africa League BAL after departing Lagos earlier today, April 2. The Kingsmen, who finished third in the previous season, are determined to improve on their performance as they compete in the Kalahari Conference from April 5 to 13. They will face hosts FUS Rabat from Morocco, Al Ittihad from Egypt, and Stade Malien from Mali in the group phase. Rivers Hoopers will begin their campaign on Saturday, April 15, against Stade Malien at the Prince Moulay Abdallah Sports Complex in Rabat, Morocco. And that's it in the world of sport. I am Onyinyechi Obaro. The news continues with Maxino.
Sports Update, brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile. Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited.
Is up next. Stay with us.
In entertainment, Nollywood actress Eniola Badmus has unveiled her political ambitions, announcing plans to become a senator and eventually a minister. Currently serving under Tajuddin Abbas, the special assistant to Nigeria's Speaker of the House of Representatives, Badmus also took to Instagram to reflect on her body transformation journey, embracing both her former plus-size figure and her current one. She highlighted her personal growth, both physically and emotionally. However, her move into politics has sparked mixed reactions amongst Nigerians, as she's not the first Nollywood star to make this transition. With actors like Desmond Elliott, Funke Akindele and Hilda Dokubo also venturing into politics, many are questioning whether this is becoming a common trend in the industry. Van Kilmer, the legendary actor known for roles in Batman Forever, The Doors and Tombstone, passed away at 65 in Los Angeles due to pneumonia after a long battle with throat cancer. A leading man in the 1980s and 1990s with films like Top Gun and Heat, Kilmer's career faced challenges due to his reputation for being difficult on set. Despite this, he continued to work in independent films, voice acting and theater, including his one-man show, Citizen Twain. Kilmer's portrayal of Jim Morrison and Doc Holliday remains iconic, and he was known for his introspective nature, revealed in his 2021 documentary, Val. He is survived by his children, Mercedes and Jack Kilmer. And that's all on entertainment news.
Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited.
And that's the news tonight. Now do remember to send your eyewitness reports to the WhatsApp number on your screens now. And follow us on social media platforms. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Able TV, and of course on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. My name is Mazino Appeal.